What's up? Welcome to another episode of DevTalks with your host Travian. And it's been 2 weeks. One, I want to say thank you for everybody who watched and viewed the last episode. It was really big. Second most viewed episode. So round of applause for that. I'm really trying to figure all this stuff out and things, but one of the major things that last week I didn't post is because in the US it's Thanksgiving. I wanted to spend a lot of time with some family and all of that and not really have to worry about having everybody else listening to stuff. I wanted to make sure that everybody else, instead of listening to a podcast, could be with their families as well too, and not to make it a priority. So now we're here, and it's crazy because last week so much was going on, especially about OpenAI and the Cybertruck. And this episode, we're going to talk about the dumpster fire that happened at OpenAI. Like so much was going on. It's not even funny. We're going to review everything that happened throughout the timeline of what was going on between their company. And next week, hopefully, I'll be feeling a lot better. I don't know if you guys can tell, I've been sick and I'm recovering. I'm getting to the end of it now. So I was like, let me get this episode in now that I'm feeling way better. And let's make sure we get it in time because we need to get this out by Thursday, 11 a.m. Eastern, like every other episode. So without further ado, let's just dive into this. And we're going to do, hopefully, I'm going to try to do Cybertruck next week. So tune in for that. This week, OpenAI, I'm about to dive right into that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And come on, join me in this. All right, so for some of you that don't know, um, what OpenAI is, basically they're the company behind ChatGPT, all of that nonsense and stuff that happened earlier this year when they came out, all the nice stuff. They basically been innovating in the AI space in the world. And Microsoft, this is going to be very important for later. Microsoft is a multi-billion-dollar investor into them as well too. So both these companies work very closely together and things, and you're going to figure out the relevance to all this later. But they they have been making so much headway and have been doing so much alone this year that it's been changing some people's lives. It's been changing businesses. It's been doing a lot of different things. It's been changing businesses because, especially engineers' time, you can look up certain stuff, basically how strongly it's been trained, all the features they're adding into this bot, and even you can help it with productivity stuff. You can ask it to summarize things. You can ask it to write up certain things for you, descriptions and things. Like I used it for the podcast to write up descriptions and trying to find better ways around that. But I mean, what could I say? This it's been such an amazing tool, especially recently, and still haven't paid for it yet to get all the extra luxuries and things. But they have been doing a lot. Like their valuation is in the multi billions, and I believe they're going to be around for a while. They're the headway leader in the AI space, in my opinion, right now of all of the other options that are out there, and probably the most dependable until these news came out. But I think at the end of this, everything's still going to be okay for them, and I um. Uh, I really believe, yeah, I really believe even at the end of me getting to all the news that happened, they're they're still going to be at the top, and especially when I looked at the scale of their business, based on like how many employees they have and things like that, it's really surprising to me. And I also learned a little bit more through some of this research, like how they're founded in 2015, and of course this podcast is here to be able to bring out more news and enlightenment to people and even to myself. So I'm as long as I'm learning stuff, this is amazing. Like I'm learning who people are. I'm learning how some of this stuff's working, how the businesses are being ran. And I could kind of put my 2 cents in some of this because I've experienced Um, I have some experience in what OpenAI is going through. I'm not um based on previous job places and things like that. It's always it's always something. You can never know what to expect, and basically, I feel like by the end of it, in the 5 or 6 days that they went through this shenanigans, um, it got uh, it got it got handled the correct way after it's in the very end, but it was not handled like there should have. I don't really understand the reasoning on why it started to begin with. And what I'm talking about is basically the departure of their CEO, Sam Altman. Hopefully I'm saying that right, but this caused so much turmoil. And it's not even funny. Like it's caused so much work. And it's surprising how much just this thing alone, and it wasn't even this thing. There's more on top of this that I want to get into later, caused the whole place to almost burn down. And we almost saw the end of probably ChatGPT. Honestly, we probably would have saw the end of it and the development of it and everything, all due to two key figures being messed with by the board of directors. And they are a private company, I believe, or are they a private company? I know they're not on the New York exchange and stuff, but they still are able to have a board and all of this other things like that. So basically, the board made a decision to fire the CEO, Sam Altman, and when CEOs leave, um it causes a lot of panic and worry, especially with employees underneath the company as you go down. A lot of people worry about their jobs, wonder what's going to happen, what are they thinking, what are they trying to do, and this can cause a lot of houses and feathers to be ruffled and things like that, and people start to worry and probably panic, and they probably starting to look for places elsewhere at this point, um, because they're worried about their own jobs and the survivability of the company that they're working at, and of course, everybody needs a place to live and be able to survive and need somewhere that's going to be stable to be able to pay them correctly and go based off that. And that's just one of the what I want to say side effects and consequences of changing CEOs like this. And I don't I keep saying it a lot, and it's so unintentional. I'm kind of like using it as a barrier word to like be able to breathe properly because of me being sick and stuff. And see, there it goes again. It's this just it just makes it's just making it easier to get through this because there is so much to talk about this. It's not even funny. It's kind of scary that I am even able to talk this much about somebody leaving and the consequences that can come from it. So, but yeah, if CEOs and higher leadership start getting fired, it can lead to a bunch of other employees feeling, I don't want to say insecure, but maybe uncertainty. They can start feeling a lot of uncertainty in their positions because you can look at how much value if people start looking at the value that they might bring into the company, and if they hold enough in there and is it safe to stay. And this economy that we're in, especially I've been talking about this a lot recently. I've talked a lot about OpenAI, talked a lot about Microsoft, ChatGPT. I've spent a lot of time this year talking about so much about them and all the stuff that they've done this year. But obviously everything's not going to be perfect, and a lot of other companies have been doing so many layoffs that the market and what jobs are available are going back to how many people are actually needed to do these to fill these positions in these jobs. These This market's just hard. It's just so competitive and it's so hard to find positions that when you see stuff like this, it's always worrying. People just try to they're just trying to find the like best place for them or a place that they can just go to because it's just hard. It's not easy to find the right position. It's especially when you leave a place. It's it's really not easy to like move on to the next thing. It's hard to find where you're gonna go, and it's a lot harder if you don't have a job, like if you get fired. But in this case, it's very weird because a lot of these people all had backups, and the biggest backup was Microsoft, but we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna just dive into this a lot later. So after the CEO was basically fired and he departed from OpenAI, Mira Murati, the CTO, they that person was appointed as an interim CEO. So it's just somebody who can be the CEO as a placeholder, basically placeholder CEO. Sometimes they can become the official CEOs and things at companies, but like at this time, the CTO is named as the part-time CEO, basically interim CEO, and they really believe that since this person's been there since it was pretty much almost founded, that all the values and everything will just nothing will change in the company. Well, this wasn't their only problem because they basically uh, they basically demoted Brockman, who is a co-founder and on the board, to a director or something like that. So Brockman got demoted, which this is where stuff really started to get spicy. And so first when Altman, I pray I'm saying all these people's names correctly, but first when Altman gets fired, Microsoft put out a statement about their long-term partnership and agreement with OpenAI because they invested billions and billions of dollars with them. They don't want them to fail. If you're investing that much money into a company, you really don't want them to fail, especially with all they've been doing this year. Microsoft has such a strong focus on AI right now that they're hoping that OpenAI can, I'm pretty sure, do this stuff for them. Mainly that their partnership is going to, they're trying to keep it there and they're really focused on the advancement of AI. But when Brockman gets fired too, Microsoft basically gives them jobs again. And you may be wondering what, but yeah, like Microsoft did. I believe Microsoft is really the heroes that OpenAI is still available right now, and alive because that as we go on to the story, you're gonna hear how just like chaotic things got, and and this is all in the span of 5 or 6 days. It's pretty much a week. In 1 week, how a company goes from almost being obliterated to coming back to the state that it was at. And all the drama between it and all the different stuff that was put on social media and things like this. The people who are ahead of the companies are tweeting and all this other fun stuff and getting put on all these different articles and blogs and things. So it's so easy to do the research about what's going on because it's just everywhere. So when Brockman got demoted, guess what he decided to do? Yeah, the co-founder. He decided to quit. So now your CEO and one of your board of directors, co-founders, who you demoted, quits as well too. And guess what? what happens when he quits? Three of the senior researchers in their AI project, and three may not sound like a huge amount, but the company size is around approximately 770 employees altogether, around 700 to 800, let's say. It's somewhere in that range of employees are that make up of OpenAI. So they're not insanely a big mega corporation or anything like that. I'd say they're pretty much small to medium business at this point. They don't even have a thousand people who work for them. And three researchers resign with them, follow him right out the door. And you can look at this two ways. You can look at this as a way of saying, hey, these researchers really like these people. They really like their leadership. They want to follow them wherever they go so that they can follow their leadership. People do this with coaches all the time in sports and all this other stuff. That so it is possible that they really like this leadership and they wanted to follow them. They believe in them. Whatever they were going to do, they were going to be a part of this. And you can really believe this on the news that's going to come happen next. Is remember earlier I said when CEOs and leadership start to leave, other people start to leave, and it's the researchers resigned right after Brockman left and quit. So it wasn't just them. More people continued to leave to one point that there was 500 people getting ready to resign, and then it went all the way up to 650 people. It went up to 650 people out of the 7 to 800 employees that worked there. Only 100 of them would have been left, maybe less. And it just went like this. So you have to really think, what hold do these upper management have on these people? What kind of relationship, what kind of culture was there? What kind of culture was the board of directors, the board, messing with getting rid of the CEO and making the unintentionally making the one of the co-founders quit? What like you have to really understand the culture of the company there. Like it's not too big, but to have 650 people either be out the door because they're worried about their jobs or worried about uh who's going to lead them and the culture fit that they want to be a part of. It can be either one of these two things that led up to all of these people getting ready to leave, and ChatGPT would not be the same anymore. And they wouldn't even become the leaders of AI anymore. But guess what? So Brockman and Altman, after the second day after they left, they decided to join together and they made an announcement of joining together on a new venture to create AI chips and chips that revolve around AI. So I mean, like that's all a blessing and stuff right there on its own. And they're on to the next like this. And it could be one of two things. It could have been one of two things. It could have been a bluff. But they probably had an idea around it. Hey, they already work in the AI field. The AI field I'm actually getting more interested in and one very curious about, hey, what is going on with AI and all of this stuff around that. Like it's I'm very curious around the whole thing. And it's piqued my curiosity, I could say, because it's changing the world as we go and everything's going to be ran by AI and be helped from AI and things of that accord, but it definitely needs to be maintained and controlled at the right degree as well too. I believe because there's a real safety issue that comes with it. So it has to be done the right way. And with all your employees about to leave, there's no way it can be done the right way. No way at all. But when this venture came up, uh, there's a bunch of things that start to hurt. So the evaluation and funding for OpenAI is coming into question, and the timing that it's coming at is if you have no employees and stuff that can work on your product, how are you going to be valued at the billions and $67 billion or whatever it's valued at now? how are you going to be valued at that much if you don't have 90% of the people who work there anymore? Are you really that at that valuation? Are you really going to get this funding anymore? So this becomes a huge problem. So now investors and stuff are asking the board to bring back Altman and Brockman and find a way to get them both back after they came up with this. So Microsoft, you know what them superheroes do? They offer Brockman and Altman a job at Microsoft to lead a new team around AI research and development. So, round of applause to them because they're superheroes in this case, that they get to go out and find ways that are going to help them out and all of that stuff. And guess what the 650 employees do? Hey, we're going to join Microsoft as well too and go work for them. Which also brings me to the conclusion that these employees must really love these two individuals at leading them, at having all of that kind of guidance around them. These employees must really have this that strong emotion and feeling for these two to want to follow them to another company. Maybe they're not scared. Maybe they were scared about what's ended up at OpenAI and they wanted to go back and still do the same stuff under the same managers because they the same not managers because most likely they're not all their managers under the same leadership. I'll say they wanted and they know because they already know the vision that that leadership had before because they were working for that leadership. So why just they could just keep it the same. Most likely this leadership will hire them coming from OpenAI and everything's so simple in that space. So when it comes to people losing jobs normally in layoffs, it's not that simple to re-get a job and move over and convert in things. But in this case, with their relationship with Microsoft and Microsoft investing so much money into this company, all of these people all had a backup like this. And it was just with a snap of a finger, and they could just do it. They could just get the new position, get the new jobs and stuff in a week. And then it finally caused Altman and Brockman to return to OpenAI. They finally found a way to get them back into OpenAI at their old jobs. So now they get their old jobs. The employees don't want to leave anymore. The employees come back, and now you have everything back to the way it was supposed to be. And then the board are all upset and apologizing for what they caused. And it's it's really crazy to sit here and see how two people leaving a company almost brought it down. Two people. All it took was two individuals to one to quit, one to be fired, and then come together and want to start something else, and then getting help from Microsoft to be able to come back to their old positions at the company. Two people. It took two out of the 700 plus. And this whole year, I have, a bunch of other people have, they've been praising OpenAI. They've been applauding them, all the compliments they've had, and everything like that. I wouldn't even think this would have even happened. Like they were in such a great boat to be in. They were smooth sailing. I don't even know why they would decide to get rid of the CEO to start with and do the whole demotion thing. But obviously, it was the wrong choice because now everybody's back to where they were at. And it's really crazy and scary to think of stuff like that can happen. And if any of you guys are still going and looking for jobs and things, this could be worrisome. But like, you could also look at how much, if you work for a company like this and everybody's banding together to do this is what you can do to get it back on track. Like money, the money's gonna talk regardless. Like they have so many investors and things, and guess what happens? The money talked, and they said, yeah, we messed up and got everything back to the way it was prior. And yeah, it might cause some disruption and stuff for a few months, the rest of the year or something, but they're gonna be back. They're gonna be doing stuff the same. They're gonna be innovating and stuff now. They're back to having the people who they want to have, and they also didn't want OpenAI AI didn't want the extra competition out there. So because it would have just caused even more chaos, and it could have turned into something that would have ended up very crazy. And I'm sure everybody is worried, was worried, and some of this news is probably really shocking. And a lot of people were keeping up with this, but it was. It definitely was shocking. I definitely wanted to talk about this the prior week and things, but one thing I want to say is, what do you guys think about this whole situation? Like, have you ever been part of a situation like this, when hired leadership and stuff starts to leave or get fired and things like that? Do you get worried? Do you leave? What are like other situations that you've heard of stuff like this? Because like in the tech industry, there's been a lot of people looking for jobs and things, and like this could have turned into all everything breaks loose, like all the worst stuff breaks loose. It could have been really bad situationally, and it's just not right. So without further ado though, thank you guys for all taking a listen. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast and what comes from it every week. I'm glad to still do it. I feel a little bit better after talking with you guys for with this half an hour or so that this episode will be. It made me feel just a little bit better than I was feeling at the very start of this. I don't know if you guys feel here, but the energy got flowing and the pipes and everything is just flowing right now. But thank you guys all for the support and stuff, especially on the last episode. Please share. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to comment. Don't forget to subscribe. And we're going to keep all this up and have a great day and a great time together. And without further ado, peace. All you guys take care. See you guys next week and see what we'll talk about then.